I built a list of B2B leads, and it turns out they're illegal. Let me show you what I did, why I deleted it, and what the Data Protection Act actually says. Hi, my name is Kevin Kabo, and I've spent 10 years building an award-winning business. And I thought I knew everything about lead gen. Clearly, I didn't. I'm building a B2B sales outreach pipeline, and that's just because it's part of our business model. Our current clients and prospects engage with us through issuing what we call a request for proposal, where we apply based on the needs that they have, or by onboarding us onto their panel of suppliers through a pre-qualification exercise. And there's a place where thought leadership comes into all this because we need to keep this list warm. And I compiled a list of 5 categories of clients that we have, or prospects that we have. So one is the pre-qualified ones. The second one is our former clients. The third one is lost pitches. The fourth one is our universe of ideal customer profiles. And the last one is our current clients. So why this matters in the B2B space is because thought leadership is big and actually increases your chance of getting business. According to a study by LinkedIn and Edelman, 64% of businesses that issue thought leadership are more likely to get business because the prospects trust these kinds of companies over the ones who just send marketing materials to them. And only 5% are in a window that they are ready to buy. So you have this mismatch where even if someone issues an RFP, they are not yet ready to buy. So how do you stay top of mind for them? Another study shows that 82% of C-suite executives trust companies that give out thought leadership. And this is demonstrated by a company like McKinsey, which does a lot of newsletters and articles, and they're not selling a product. What they're selling is credibility and trust. So what I have is a list of companies. I can get the names of the people who are in the positions we need to target. The one thing that I don't have to start sending out these thought leadership pieces are the emails. Here's my list with the 5 categories I had spoken about. And this first list has the name of the company, the period of pre-qualification, the categories we qualified for, and the person in charge of marketing. And this research was done using Google search, LinkedIn search, and the pre-qualification platform that we normally use to be onboarded onto the panels of these companies. Now, let me show you how I'll go about getting the emails of the key people in marketing using something called email permutation. And email permutation is just basically generating all possible combinations of an email using a person's first name and last name plus the domain. And I'm going to use this tool here. It's called Metric Sparrow, and it's an email permutator. So all I'll do is I'll just come in and I'll type in the name of one of my contacts plus the domain name so that we can be able to get the possible combinations that we can then go and test. So let me just type in the name. And the domain name of the company that they work for. And I'm getting that through this domain email that is part of my list. And when I click permutate, it gives me 34 variations that I can then go and test. So I'm just going to do this for my entire list. So again, here, this is very manual. There's no AI, no automation, just simple copy and paste. Now my next step is to verify and narrow down to the actual email that works. And for that, I'm going to use this tool called Email List Verify. So I just did a bit of research and I stumbled upon this. And because I have quite a few, I'm going to use a CSV. So you just click here, download example file. And this is the file that comes up. So it's just written email. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to come to my list and start from the top and copy paste all these variations into this downloadable CSV file that I'll then upload onto the verifier. And that's done. So I'm just calling it email verification test TDM. Okay, then I just come in here to my tool and I browse the file. Upload it real quick. And it's telling me there are 170 emails to be verified. So it's going to use some credits. And that's how these tools work. They normally use credits. So I just start the verification process. By the way, I paid about 600 bob to expand my credit limits because you're only allowed 100 verifications and only 10 per day if you go for the free version. So you can see it's just scanning. Okay, cool. Now the scan is done, and what I can see here is 3% of those emails are safe to send. So when I show the details, it's showing me only 5 are good to go. So let me come and download them. So only 5 emails are good to go. So I'll just download that as an Excel sheet. And then I just want to open it and see which emails brought back a positive result. All right, so this is the list of emails that brought back a positive result. And I can see here we have 2 emails that could be the same, but the rest are actually okay. And these are the final verified emails that we can deliver to. And this is fantastic. It's pretty cool. We've gone very fast from name, contact person, name of company, contact person, domain, to a list of verified emails that now we can start targeting for our thought leadership kind of strategy. So at this point, I'm celebrating. I'm like, yes, I have a list of emails that I can start my cold outreach for. Then something hit me and I was thinking, okay, is there anything to do with data protection that I may not know or understand at this point in time? Because I had come across something about how someone needs to expressly consent to you having their email for you to start contacting them. And that's when I found something very, very interesting about what I was doing and how illegal it is. Now, here's the legal reality of what I just did. So under the Data Protection Act of Kenya, there are laws surrounding how you collect email addresses. And I just want to focus on a few things. So we need to get express consent. Section 37 of the Act explicitly prohibits the use of personal data for commercial purposes unless the data controller, which is us, has obtained express consent. And there also has to be an absolute right to object. So a data subject has an absolute right to object to the processing of their personal data. And here's an even more interesting one: prohibited practices in email. So Regulation 15 specified that no person shall send direct marketing via email if the identity of the sender is disguised or concealed, a valid address for opting out has not been provided, automated calling systems are used without human intervention. And then around the practice that I've just done, or the method I've just used, email permutation and indirect. So it's not mentioned by name. Email permutation is not mentioned by name, but we have the direct collection rule. So Section 28 requires data controllers to collect personal data directly from the data subject. So indirect collection, which is what I've just done, is only permitted in very narrow circumstances, such as if the data is public record, the subject deliberately made it public, or for crime prevention, okay? And basically, there are penalties because this is illegal. So the offenses using personal data for commercial purposes without consent is an offense, and they are fined. So you can be fined 5 million bob or 1% of annual turnover. And there's also criminal liability. So you could be imprisoned for up to 2 years. What this means for us Kenyan founders: cold emailing people by deducing or deriving emails presents a real risk under the Data Protection Act. And that is, you could be fined 5 million bob or 1% of revenue, which is a big hit to the business. And it doesn't matter whether you automated it or did it manually like I did, the data processing is an issue. I'm not a lawyer, this is not legal advice, but based on what I just read and found, I can't use those emails and I've had to delete that list. What is legal is getting publicly available emails from websites, getting people to consent to you contacting them via like a newsletter, and just building a relationship with someone that enables this outreach. So the Data Protection Act is not saying that we should not do B2B sales outreach. It's saying get consent and build a relationship first. You can use AI to stay on top of compliance issues. And I have a video here where I uploaded 250 plus pages of tax law into Notebook LM, so check that out. Every week, I find another problem in my business that I can solve with AI, so subscribe if you want to see what I find next.